So over the past few years, I've grown my agency, Landscape Marketing Pros, from $0 and nothing but a struggle fest to now hovering between $30,000 and $35,000 of very profitable monthly recurring revenue. And I did it primarily with bringing in clients through my agency's YouTube channel and my agency's website rank for a lot of industry-specific marketing-related keywords, and a little bit of Facebook retargeting, which I did a video on previously where I'm spending about $5 to $7 a day. So a couple months back, I figured, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's try Facebook ads one more time and just see what happens, because I've done it in the past. Granted, my budget was like $50. This is way back when. And I maybe got 2 sales calls booked through it. And granted, my funnel and call booking process was not as refined as it is now. However, the lead quality was just terrible. In this video, we're going to break down a case study of me running ads for a couple weeks and show you the numbers behind it, the ad structure, the results, how the calls went, and did we actually close any calls, and so forth. If you're someone that's a beginner to business as a whole, I of course recommend watching this to the end, but if this is your first business, I don't recommend going out and shelling out money to run ads, because these ad platforms are going to suck your money away very, very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. If you're someone that is maybe at 5 to 10 clients, you're looking to scale, I think this video is going to be really of value to you, especially if you work with home service businesses, because the way those business owners kind of interact on social media is going to be very, very similar as my industry, which is landscaping. Now, briefly before we begin, I want to bring your attention to the first link in the description as well as the pinned comment down beneath this video, because registration for my HVA agency training webinar is now live. On that broadcast, I pull back the curtain on how I grew my agency, and I've helped dozens do similar with their agency as well, like Kyle here, who landed his first client at $1,250 a month with a $2,000 setup fee, with many other stories just like him. So again, after this video is complete, go down below, register for that webinar, and watch that broadcast end to end. It's going to be truly life-changing. So we're going to start off with just a quick overview of my agency's funnel. I did a video way more in depth. Go check that one out if you want to figure out how to actually do all this. But it's very, very simple, built on WordPress. I don't have Go High Level or anything crazy complicated like that. And then I have Zoom integrated with Calendly for the booking, and prospects come in, they book a call, simple as that. And I also have a bunch of disclaimers here because there's certain businesses that I don't even want to talk to because they're just not a good fit for my company. And so then below that is, of course, squashing any potential objections with a boatload of testimonials and lead flow and all sorts of other cool stuff like that. So that's the biggest thing with any funnel, is just have a way for them to get in contact with you, and testimonials proving that you can help them get the results thereafter. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the ads. Total cost was $754.74 over, I believe, 10 or 11 days that it was run. I'll put the screenshot here up on the screen of the actual data. You can see 8 calls booked, at least that's what Facebook attributed to. And then that comes to about $95 per call booked. And I know for some of you, if you're a beginner, that sounds like a ton of money to spend. Even for some of the people that maybe be at 3, 4, 5 clients, that sounds like a lot to spend, because you aren't going to close 100% of them. In many instances, if you close 20% of these leads, you're doing really, really well. And so that can sound daunting to spend. And I know initially with me, way back when I figured out that, holy crap, it's going to take a lot more than $50 to even just get a good call, it can be scary. That's why I don't really recommend doing ads as a beginner. But if you're someone who's got money coming in, you can afford to test with this, by all means, give it a shot. So the ad structure was a video ad. And so this was 4 different testimonials from my agency as the actual creative. I didn't have anything crazy dynamic. I just slapped the same videos that you see on my agency's YouTube channel in the creative for each one of these different ads with the same copy on each. And then I just saw which one's going to perform the best. And then I turned the ones that were least performing, so that way the spend could go towards the better performing ads. The targeting was very, very simple. I had a lookalike audience that I used because I've had all kinds of data over the years built up with my agency, because I've been at it since 2017, but also testing with business page admins and then throwing in interests that were related to my industry. And so you'll want to play around with your industry. So I'd recommend, if you're someone in home services, or maybe even you're working with lawyers or dentists or whatever, just play around with that type of interest and see what it can get you. And of course, sprinkle in things to add to the audience as needed, of course, if you're not getting enough traction. Or if you're burning through the audience in just 2 days of spend, then you got to add some more interest or add some more different things to bring in more people. So the format of the copywriting, and I just need to say this when it comes to copywriting, this is a skill you're going to need to learn if you have an agency, regardless of whether you're going to be doing the work or not, because this is where you capture the attention of your prospects. So if you're someone brand new to this, first business ever, you're going to have to learn this skill. I think this is probably one of the most valuable skill sets that you can learn aside from one-to-one selling. So take the time to learn how to do this. And so I have like a 4-pronged approach that I use this particular ad campaign, and I kind of apply similar with everything else I do with my agency in terms of getting clients. But the first aspect is to call out the target audience with heavy future pacing, plus sprinkling in some FOMO. FOMO being fear of missing out. So here's a great example. Imagine 6 to 12 months from now, you could have added 6 figures to your business, but you didn't. Think of what that's going to spark into the mind of the reader. Probably a lot of different things, a lot of different emotions. We want to hook their emotions. This is everything when it comes to advertising and sales. And so the next kind of process is that I'm explaining our system at the very base level. I'm not talking about SEO. I'm not giving them cost per click stats or any of these sorts of stuff. I'm just going along the lines of just very base level of how we help their business without the things that they don't like. Specifically buying shared leads through the lead aggregator platforms like Angie's List and Home Advisor and so forth. Number 3 is to relate to them and state our value proposition. So with me being someone that's been in the industry, with landscaping industry since 2007, I am showing right here, hey, our system was created by a landscaper for landscapers with 17 years experience. There's in a day and age where landscape marketing agencies are popping up and then they're disappearing as fast as they came. You can count us because we've been at this since 2017 doing marketing for landscape companies, and we're in it for the long haul. Number 4 is multiple calls to action plus hitting them with some scarcity. So the call to action is as simple as book a call now. And then from there, I have a PS down below it that says book one now before your local competitors see this, because we offer service area exclusivity and we have waiting lists in multiple areas of the country. So book now. The entire goal is to really just emotionally hook them and get them amped up so that way they do what we want them to do, which is click on the ad and book a call. Let's break down the calls. What actually happened of these 8 calls that had come in? So I'm just going to preface this really quickly. The lead quality is going to be lower if you're running ads, especially on social media. It's just the nature of the game compared to organic, where you get the audience that's actively searching out that type of information to learn those sorts of things and so forth. Basically, you just have to pick your heart. You want to spend more time building the organic audience and build the organic traffic with SEO, or do you want to just spend money on ads, which you can do very easily? You just give them money, but you're going to be sifting through a lot more leads that are lower quality versus the close rate's going to be a lot higher on the organic side. And I will let you make that decision. But of the 8 calls, 3 of them were no-shows. I don't know why I have a 1 right there. The first one was outright just nothing, and I didn't feel like following up or trying to call them or anything like that. I just had no patience that day. I remember that morning, I just didn't care. The next one reached out the night before and saying, hey, we need to reschedule. And so generally, I would require 1 business day advance notice with this. However, I spent good money to acquire this call. I figured, okay, let's send them the reschedule link and hopefully get them at a later date. It never booked again, and that was that. Next one didn't show up, but then I called him because, again, I invested good money into this. The guy answered. He didn't speak any English. And the reason I really called is because he said that he could afford the investment. And so he didn't speak any English whatsoever. So there was not going to be any productive conversation happening there. So there we go. 3 of 8, totally out the window right there. 4 more were very low quality leads. The first one was a husband-wife team. The dynamic wasn't very good. There's 2 different decision makers, and it's just not a very good dynamic, at least for that particular lead. Next one, the guy was skeptical the entire time, which I thought was rather odd, because my initial thought was, did you watch the testimonial video that you clicked on in the ad? But apparently not. So that one was a no-go. Next one was one you really got to pay attention to if you're someone running ads, or even if you have organic traffic coming in, a short-sighted business owner. Because what he had said to me was, because I've paid $3,000 a month for ads before, but one month they'd get a $40,000 job. The next month it'd be like 3 $2,000 jobs. And it's just, I don't like that. And these were basically paraphrasing what he said. You want your clients to be looking at this program that they're investing into, your service program, as a long-term investment. We're talking $24,000 a year, turning that into $250,000 in additional revenue, not this month made this month made that, this month made this, because that's just a what have you done for me lately type of relationship, and you don't want to be around that. You do not want to have that in your business whatsoever. So I recommend, even though you don't want to turn down money, to not work with business owners that are like that. The last one had initially said no to the investment question, but their revenue was on point. So I actually had reached out to them, and they had said that it's not going to be a good fit until spring in terms of the investment. So we just canceled that one, and I'll probably follow up with them here in a couple months. But alas, we finally had one lead that finally actually was good. A little bit bigger of a business than I would usually have as a client avatar. They're doing multiple 7 figures in revenue. And what that generally means, and why it's not my client avatar, is that they have a lot of decision makers all in play, and everyone has their own different thoughts. And I would rather just work with the contractor that's at 300 to 500,000 in revenue. He's the one calling all the shots. It's way easier to just work with those guys. But I will not turn down somebody's money, especially if their online presence is not as good as it could be. And that's the case with this particular client. So I'm going to do multiple meetings. The first one we couldn't close. The second meeting where we're answering a bunch of questions, had to get approval from the owner because they're not involved in the day-to-day operations. And then we finally got them closed. And of course, that did not come without negotiations. And I will do a separate video on how to handle price objections, negotiation, that sort of stuff in a future video. So be sure to be subscribed so that way you know when that video comes out, because it's really, really key, at least in terms of the right way to do it. Finally converted them at the actual after this call price. And again, I'll explain that in the negotiation video, because we give a price incentive to those that actually buy on the call. And it's a substantial amount of money. I mean, we're talking well into the 4 figures per year in savings versus having to go and think about it and then come back. But one fun fact of this particular call was the very first one, or this particular lead was the first call. I asked the prospect how he found us and he didn't know. And so I'll put the messages here on the screen. After we closed them, I asked them, hey, did you ever track down how you found us? And he said, yeah, this other individual at the company had forwarded me your ad through Messenger, and so it must have been from your ad campaign. So that is how we turned $754.74 into $15,000. And ideally then some, because that's what their rate of $2,500 a month is for 6 months. I'd like to keep them on board for multiple years, but we'll see what happens there. My agency has a great track record of keeping clients on board for a very long time, because that's what's key to having a nice, very profitable agency on a monthly recurring basis. All right, so my camera died, but I wanted to leave you with these closing thoughts because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, should I run ads in my agency, and would I run it again as well? And so with me in the position that I'm in now, where I'm doing all the sales calls, I'm not going to be running ads anytime soon. I'm going to be focused on growing my agency's YouTube channel and the SEO presence, because the lead quality is there. And I don't want to be sifting through low quality leads and spending time doing that, because there's other things I need to be focused on within my agency. There's still operations things that I handle, and also trying to do things here in my personal channel and do on my personal brand, and that just takes a bunch of time that I just don't have to talk with lower quality leads. I would like to eventually get to the point where I have some sales staff, or at least just one salesperson that can go through these calls, and of course we want to sift through and make sure we're only talking about qualified leads. But sometimes low quality ones do slip through, and you just kind of got to be aware of that. So I don't recommend going and running up your credit card bill $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 if you can't afford to pay it off very easily. So if you're someone who's at the very beginning stages, I don't recommend running ads, because it's going to cost you a lot of money to get things up and running. But if you have a little bit longer term focus, like for example, the one that we actually closed, I think we had the initial call mid-October, and then we didn't actually get paid from them and actually have them, granted they're a little bit longer of a sales cycle with a bigger company like that, was December 13th or 11th. December 11th was when they actually closed. So a 2-month window there that we essentially had to kind of float that ad spend before we got paid. So just know that going into it. Granted, with the client avatar, we can shorten that quite a bit with having the guys that are the actual decision makers on the call, but sometimes you have the bigger companies that they want to spend money too, but there's more hurdles that they have to basically jump through before we can actually become a client. So with that said, if you like this video, be sure to go down below, drop a like on this video, comment your thoughts down below on this case study. Would you run ads in your agency? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you do end up running ads, comment down below your results as well. If you want to get more training with me on a one-to-one basis, hit that first link in the description, as well as the pinned comment down beneath this video. Register for the HVA webinar. Take advantage of the offer that is presented at the end of that broadcast. And with all that said, be sure to go down below, subscribe, click the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. And with all that said, my name is Wacek. Thanks for checking out my channel. We'll see you in the next video.